Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Wow, look at the energy levels. It's already high. So it's not the quantity but the quality that matters in the room. So here's the first question to begin with. How many of us in our life have ever judged someone else? किसी और को judge किया है? ऐसा कभी हुआ है क्या? हाथ ऊपर करो if you have done that. Okay, thank you. I love the honesty in this room. Immediately hands went up. It's like, अरे यार judgment. अरे every day we judge people.
All the time.
All the time. Absolutely correct. And if there's somebody in the audience who says I have never judged anyone, then that comes a point wherein I would judge you for that. Because this is pretty clear that we all judge each other no matter what. But now let us go to the root of this cause, that why do we judge people? Why is it that when we see them, when we first meet them, or when we just have a glance, why does a mechanism in our mind automatically starts judging them? Now, let us go through the entire process to understand that in a little deep. First things first, how many of you realize that we have evolved from animals and now man is a social animal? How many of you realize that? You can raise your hand. Good, thank you. And that's exactly the reason that even though we have evolved, there is something called as an animal instinct which is there within us. Now let's take a moment to understand what exactly is this. If you see there on screen, you see a pack of wolves. Now this is what happens in the jungle. In any forest or any jungle, there is only one law. And the law of the jungle says survival of the fittest. That's the only law. Which means in a jungle, if there is a fight between a tiger and a lion, जो fit होगा वो जीतता है. Nobody else interferes in between. No humans, no one else. Let them fight and the survival of the fittest. Now because of that animal instinct, if a tiger is sitting with his family and if one more tiger approaches, the first thing the tiger does is judges the other tiger. Judges the other tiger for what reasons? For safety reasons, whether the person is a threat to us or not. And the moment it is established that the person is not a threat to us, then the tiger is pretty much roaming around, and that's how we make friends. So we have evolved as species, but that animal instinct of always being safe first has remained with us. And that's why when we meet people, we instantly judge them. Oh wait, is this guy safe for me? Is this guy something as a threat to me? And if it is not a threat, so automatically we are friends. If it's a threat, then we start judging. Nahi, main nahi karega, ja. Then we have a real resistance that comes up automatically. And that's why it is very, very important to understand and respect the law of the jungle, which is nothing but survival of the fittest. And that is why we judge people, to just know whether they are a threat. If not, then we are okay. So judging someone is not bad. It is something which is natural, you cannot control. So what is it that you can control? You can control sticking to your judgment. Which means if I make a judgment of someone, that's okay, that's natural, that's social animal, it's okay. But if I stick to that judgment throughout in my life, then that is something that leads you to a mindset which is called as the fixed mindset. Wherein now you refuse to think anywhere else, you just belong to that one category. And that is the exact topic that we have for today, to understand what is a fixed mindset and what is a growth mindset, and how do we move from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset. So to understand it in a very simple way, imagine this being your mindset, this being your life. That this is how I live my life throughout my life, and I see here I take decisions. Now this is what we believe. What if this is not right life? Life is somewhere here, which is outside of the thought process that you have, outside of the thinking abilities that you possess. And that is why to have a broader vision, your mindset should also be broader. Now let us understand a little detail before we dive into how to generate that. First, understand our mind. So if I ask the people present in this room one question, in one word if you have to define mind, how would you do that? So let's start from here. So what do you think? One word, mind.
It is an abstract thing.
It's an abstract thing. Very true, good. Thank you. One word, sir. Mind को अगर define करना है तो one word, what can we give it as? Okay. Maybe unclear in terms of having in the form of one word, that's okay.
Actually, what I was going to say was what he said, abstract.
Correct.
But it's a collection of so many things.
Very true. So mind is a collection, that's the word. Very well done. So the same question goes for all the viewers out there also. If you had to define what's that one word, mind in one word, what would that be? Please make sure you mention that in the comments so that we can have a conversation as we go ahead. So one word, actually what mind means is nothing but past. That's it. Now let's take a moment to understand what we just said. Whatever you have here in your mind is past. That's it. There is nothing in your mind which is future or present. Now some of us might think, no, but we are always worried of the future. You are worried of the future based on the past experiences that you have had about the similar situation. So you're worried for an exam tomorrow because in the last time the exam was a little difficult. You're worried about your marriage day because somewhere in the relationships you had problems before. So each and everything that you have in your head is your past. It's a memory. It's nothing else. So there's nothing here which is not something that you haven't experienced in your life. And that is why it is purely based out on your conditioning as you have grown up. Now, how does this as a trick help us to understand our mindset? Say for example, if I have been giving a lot of examples today of getting up in the morning, going and taking a shower, having a bath, and if I set this context that I'm having a bath in the morning and going to the washroom to the shower, and if you see this word, what comes to your mind? What's the missing letter here?
Soap.
Soap, absolutely correct. That came out instantaneously in a moment. Now, let's take a same example. What if I was giving examples of a Chinese restaurant where I'm going there and I'm having an appetizer and I'm having something else and having something like mon chao and this, that. Now tell me, what letter fits here?
Soup.
Soup, absolutely correct. Thank you. Now if you see the difference was not what was on board. The difference was how the context was set in our mind. And that's exactly how we develop our mindset based on the past experiences that we had. I neither wanted to say soap or soup, but the answers perfectly came in that way. Why? Because the questions were put in that way to help you analyze. And this is what mind trainers do. They come to a conclusion from you and you feel as if, oh my God, wow, मैंने contribute किया. Only thing that they did was asking the right questions. And that's how we have developed a mindset. But is this mindset really helping us to go to the next level, or is it actually stopping us, is what we are about to see today. So let's get started. First things first, to do anything in life, to achieve whatever we want to, three things are very, very important. And we have emphasized about this in our earlier talks. The number one is what we call as the mindset. Absolutely important. This is your invisible things. Nobody can see what's in your mind. So that's the number one, which is called as a mindset. Number two is a skill set. The ability for you to do any work. That's your skill set. And number three is a tool set. Tool set means what are the things you can use and leverage to display your skills so that you can go and achieve what you want. That's called as a tool set. So today we focus on only the first part, which is the mindset, and how to have a fixed and move from that to a growth mindset. So here it how it is. If somebody says, how do we define a fixed mindset? Simply words, very, very simple. 3 words define a fixed mindset. And the 3 words are, I know that. That's it. The moment any one of us comes up with these 3 words, Arey mujhe pata hai, I know that. That's a classic sign that you have a fixed mindset. You are now not ready to even go ahead. Let me explain you with the form of a story. Very, very important. This was a story which was said to me by one of the trainers. His name is Robin Sharma. And this was a beautiful example which he had given. So he says, once a very rich businessman who had all the things in the world. He had all the money, he had all the vehicles, he had all the houses, the properties, all across everywhere. But this businessman was not happy. So somebody said to this businessman, you go to India, there is the place called as Ladakh, and in Ladakh you will find a monk. And that monk will help you solve all your problems. So this businessman all the way from Australia comes to India, goes to Ladakh and goes and meets the monk. So he goes and meets the monk and gives his business card to the monk. And he says, hi, my name is so and so, I'm a businessman, I've got 7 different businesses, I do this, that, etc., etc., blah, 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 blah. For 10 minutes, he keeps on introducing himself as a businessman and achieved this and achieved that, etc., etc. The old monk all this while is just plainly standing there and nodding his head and not even uttering a single word. Finally, after 10 minutes, when this businessman is done, the monk asks him whether you will have some tea. Chai piyega kya? So the businessman says, yes, why not? The monk goes in, gets a kettle, gets a cup and gives the cup in the hand of the businessman. So let's assume this is the cup that was given in the hands of a businessman. So now the businessman is holding the cup. The monk says, I'll pour tea, you let me know when to stop. So now he pours very little tea. So the businessman is like, yes, some more please. He pours some more. Now it's still the halfway. He's like, some more please. He pours some more. It's almost 3/4. And the businessman is like, yeah, okay, pretty much okay. But the monk doesn't stop. He goes on pouring the hot tea, completely filled. Now the cup starts overflowing and the tea starts to fall down, and it burns the hand of the businessman, burns the shoes, burns the pant, burns the suit, and now the businessman loses it and in a very furious way says to the monk, are you crazy? Can't you see that my cup is full? How would more tea go into it? Don't you have brains? It's all falling, it's a waste. The cup first needs to be empty. How don't you know about that? And the moment he said this to the monk said, that is the exact problem that you have in your life. Your head is so filled with your achievements of the past that when you're introducing me, you took 10 minutes just to say who you were. Rather, if you would have just come and said, I'm here to learn, things would have been a lot different. Because at this point, any advice that I give will be like the extra tea, it's going to fall down. And that's where for some of us, our cups are already full. Now, we do not disrespect that. Because of the experiences that each one of us have got, our cups are full, there's no doubt about it. But that is what limits you in the form of a fixed mindset, and that is why it is important to once in a while empty that cup and continue learning. Very, very crucial. So this is the mindset that we are talking about, the fixed and then the growth. The fixed, to define in 3 words, says I know that. And when you talk about growth, it always emphasizes on the fact that I need to learn that. There is a difference. The fixed says मेरे को पता है. The growth says मेरे को पता करना है, and that's the difference. So if you have the ability to constantly learn, then there will become an age. Now this is a quote which comes from Einstein, and he had given it during those days. He says there'll come a point wherein all the learned मतलब जो सीख चुके हैं, all the learned will perish and the learners will remain. Now take a moment to understand what he said during those days. He says एक जमाना आएगा जहां पे जितने भी लोग खुद को सीखे हुए समझते हैं, सबके सब चले जाएंगे और जमाना वही रूल करेंगे जो सीखते रहेंगे, learners only. And that's why the shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset is very, very important. So how do we begin that? In what areas do we reflect this so it becomes a lot easy? So these are the 5 different areas that we speak about today. And if you are able to successfully shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, then it becomes a lot easy. So let us see what are the 5 areas. The very first is the skills. Now when I talk about skill, what exactly is it that I'm talking about? To define in a very simple way, skill kya hai? What's a skill? It's nothing but your ability to do something. That's the skill. It can be making a roti, it can be making a sabji, or it can be fighting at a war, whatever it is. The ability to do something is your skill. Now when you think of a fixed mindset, जिनका mind already ये सोचता है कि I know that, I have all the skills, I am this, I am that, they always believe that skills are innate. Innate मतलब boss वो पैदा ही वैसे हुआ है यार. How many of you have heard this? Raise your hand if you have heard this. People saying कि पैदा ही हुआ है उसको तो वैसे ही है. Thank you. That's exactly what happens. We sometimes, due to lack of efforts, we use that as a mask. Saying वो तो पैदाइश ही ऐसा है यार. अरे वो क्या गिटार बजाता है, अरे उसके खून में ही था यार गिटार बजाना. क्या क्रिकेट खेलता है, वो तो क्रिकेट के लिए पैदा हुआ है. All these things are what has been said and done. Why? Because we don't want to take efforts. And it's easy to give a reason in front rather than go for the result in the back. And that's why the fixed mindset always says it is innate. मतलब ये skill ना ये अंदर से आता है, ऐसा develop नहीं होता है. कोई ऐसा वजन कम नहीं कर सकता जिम जाके, वो सब अंदर से ही होता है. Lot of people think about it. We say about playing guitar, playing flute, अरे ये सब नहीं होता है रे बाबा, जो म्यूजिक का जिसको टैलेंट है उसी को मिलता है. We easily give reasons and that creates a problem of a fixed mindset. The second is unchanging. We refuse to change, and that's the fact. And why is that so? Because we are very comfortable and we are not changing. It's like our mind. It tries to keep us safe and tries to keep us in the comfort zone. Because the moment we are out of the comfort zone, we are vulnerable. We are in a state which may be dangerous. And that's not what our mind wants. Because again, the mind wants survival of the fittest. It wants to keep ourselves safe and not take a risk. And that's exactly why whenever you're doing something different out of your comfort zone, the first thought that comes to your mind is a negative thought. So if I say someone, please come here and speak, first thought will be, अबे नहीं छोड़ना यार, कैसे मैं अपनी आंखें छुपाऊं? How the person will not be able to see me. If you are able to speak in front of people, if somebody says come and dance, नहीं मेरे को नहीं करना है. First thing is no, negative. And that's how mind operates. It wants you to be in the comfort zone. because that's a safe zone. So nothing can happen to your body and you will survive. That's the only survival mechanism the fixed mindset has. Now when you talk about a growth mindset is very simple. It says this, that anything and everything can be taught. This is what the growth mindset says. I'll repeat once again. Anything and everything can be taught. So you can teach a person who doesn't know how to do one thing, the person can learn and do it, as simple as that. What's the proof? Now my mother and my father have never been in the digital era. So they've missed the bus that led to the digital era. And for the most part of our life, my mother, she is now 58, she never ever used a cell phone. She never ever even have anything to do with the remote television, nothing. Today she spends 7 hours on WhatsApp and Facebook. And from bedroom, if I'm in the hall, she texts me on WhatsApp that please come to the bedroom and switch off the light. So this has been the extent of the use of technology. Why? Simply because it was taught to her how to use it. And if she at that age can learn a skill, then it's not about the ability to learn, it's about the mindset, the willingness to learn. So the problem is not that whether my body is fit to learn this, the problem is whether your mind is fit to learn that. I know of an example of my dear friend, his name is Mayur. His grandfather at the age of 83 got his driving license. Imagine this. And he was in Nasik. He couldn't get it from the Nasik district because of the age restriction. He went to the next taluka which was there right next and he applied from there. And at 83 age he got his own car and he used to drop Mayur to the college. And that is the extent of how it was. So it is never about the limiting beliefs which you can't do as your body. It's about the limiting beliefs in your mind. And that's why the growth mindset is very, very important. It simply says everything is a result of hard work. It can be taught. If yes, it can be mastered. That's it. तो जो चीज सिखा सकते हो वो चीज के आप मास्टर बन सकते हो, as simple as that. The second mindset says it's dynamic, change, always ready to change. If somebody goes to a railway station and if the train is late, they are immediately like, अरे यार क्या यार, रोते रहेंगे, उधर ही खड़ा रहेंगे. They won't take any efforts. But there are some people, अच्छा ट्रेन लेट है, चल प्लेटफॉर्म क्रॉस करके स्लो ट्रेन पकड़ते. अच्छा वो नहीं है, चल बाहर जाते बस पकड़ते. अच्छा वो नहीं है, चल ओला कर दे, उबर कर दे, कुछ तो लिफ्ट लेते. Why? Because they have a destination in their mind. They're very clear. Their mindset is of growth. But I've seen same people who are at the same spot. यार ये ट्रेन में बहुत गर्दी है, अगले के लिए रुकते हैं. Waiting. Trains come and go. They're at that same spot. I want you to realize it is not your body that limits you. It's your mind that limits you. And when it comes to skill, it has nothing to do with your ability of the body. It is more mind. Yes, I'm not saying that there are certain skills that everybody can be master at it. No, some things we might be good at. But can it be taught? Yes, if you have the willingness to do it. So let's take a simple example. This is an example of a case study that how people refuse to change and things are totally different. So way back when we had the dot-com bubble, which was in the 2000 if you remember, and then came the bubble which was the Android bubble. Now when Android first developed its entire software mechanism, they went to a company called as Nokia. And Nokia at that time was the number one phone used in the entire world, and Indian market it had over 70% share. If still some of you might remember the old Nokia phones, कितना भी नीचे गिरेगा कुछ नहीं होता था, सब parts अलग होते थे. Absolutely, and then you can assemble the parts again. So Nokia stood for reliability during those days. There were jokes कि किसी चोर को Nokia phone से मारो तो चोर भी मर जाएगा. That was the strength, that was the durability, reliability of the phone. So when Android went to Nokia, this is what Nokia said. Boss, we have our own operating system called as the Symbian operating system. तो हमें ये Android नहीं चाहिए. It's not for Indian users. Indians को नहीं समझेगा, नहीं चाहिए, मत आओ. They refused Android. And exactly a decade later, Nokia shut its operations, company shut down, Android becomes the largest operating system platform in the world. Then they went to Sony, then Ericsson, and that is how Android flooded. Now Nokia tried to jump in towards the last 3-4 years, not able to capture the market, and today it's less than 1% of the entire world. And once it was 70% of the entire world. Why? Refusing to change. This is exactly how it was. First, if you remember, there were phones which were flap phones. We used to open it, the very earlier ones. Then you had the Nokia typical 3310 kind of a phone. Then you had something like a BlackBerry which had a QWERTY keypad. Now the speciality about BlackBerry was the messenger that they had, BlackBerry Messenger. Now when WhatsApp again came up, they again lost their own value and they had to leave. The last one is a touch screen phone. And that's why it is important that the skills that you have got you here may not be the skills that will get you there. Understand the difference. आज तक जहां पे हम हैं वो हमारे skills जो past में थे उसके वजह से है, but वो हमें future में भी लेके जाएंगे क्या, इसके भरोसे नहीं बैठ सकते हो. You need to constantly learn new skills. What worked for you, but if you want to go ahead, you need to do something else. Again, this is what Newton used to say, that if you do the same things which you have been doing, you will get the same results that you have been getting. So if you want to get a different result, you first need to do a different thing. It's like if you want to change the fruit, you need to first change the root. Very, very important. But हमें क्या है, हमें fruit change करना है, but root change नहीं कर रहा है. We don't want to learn, we don't want to grow, but we want a different result. And that is something which is not possible. And that is why this is the first example, that the skills that I've got you here will not take you to the next level. You need to constantly learn, constantly grow. That's the only way ahead. So that's the first point when it comes to your fixed mindset and the growth mindset. Now the second point is what we called as challenges. What's the word?
Challenges.
Challenges, good, thank you. Now this was a challenge for some of us to listen and then to reply immediately. And some of us did, which means you are open. But some of us are like, मैं तो बोलेगा ही नहीं, जा तो कुछ भी कर, तो कितना भी सवाल पूछ, I am not going to respond. Now that's again a fixed mindset that we have. Some of us, when we smile open-heartedly. But some of us are very British, we are like uptight, we are like, ज़्यादा नहीं हंसूंगा मैं, क्या सोचेंगे लोग. And the point is, this is a mindset that is stopping you from growing to the next level. So let us understand something about challenges. How do people with a fixed mindset react to a challenge? And how do people with a growth mindset react to a challenge? What's the difference? So here's the first one. First things first, fixed mindset people always avoid getting into a challenge. So if things are changing, they are much more safer. They are not willing to take risk. क्यों? क्योंकि risk लेंगे तो failure का भी तो probability है. और fixed mindset वालों को डर लगता है. So there's a simple law in the universe. Higher the risk, higher the reward. As simple as that. And that's why the people who earn a lot are ready to put everything on risk. So when I say everything on risk, doesn't mean take uncalculated risk. बिल्कुल भी नहीं. Understand and take calculated risk. Some of us are so afraid of taking a wrong decision that we don't even take a decision. And that is much more worse than taking a wrong decision. Because when you take a wrong decision, at least you learn something out of it. But when you don't take any decision, what will you learn? You have not done anything. You're just waiting. So that's a symptom of what we call as a fixed mindset that we avoid. Now the second best thing that what a fixed mindset person does, gives a lot of excuses. Now if you go to a person and if they start giving you excuses, next time when you meet, mind में डाल दो अबे fixed mindset वाला है, छोड़ो, कभी बदलेगा नहीं, ऐसी ही है. Because they have reasons like this ready. Whatever happens, if you are late, अरे I was late, अरे ट्रेन ना बहुत लेट हो गया, ट्रैफिक बहुत था. As if nobody in Mumbai knows कि मुंबई में ट्रैफिक होता है. As if nobody knows कि ट्रेन लेट होती है. So what they do is they justify, and that creates a problem because it creates a blockage in the head. Now this is what we used to say whenever we went and met people and we had trainings, that you can either have a reason or a result, not both. So you cannot have a reason and a result both. The person who wins the marathon or the race has the result. So they don't require a reason. कि मैं क्यों जीता first? कोई नहीं पूछेगा क्यों जीता first. But the person who came second in the race doesn't have a result but has a lot of reasons. Second क्यों आया? अरे वो end moment पे ऐसे हो गया यार, last में ये कर दिया वो कर दिया. So you can either have a reason or a result, and the fixed mindset always go for reasons, they always go for excuses. And then comes the third part. Whatever happens, there are some people with the fixed mindset who always think जो भी बुरा होता है दुनिया में वो मेरे ही साथ होता है हमेशा. They're always like, why me यार, मेरे साथ ही क्यों, मैं ही ऐसा मैं ही वैसा. It reminds me of a film which is called as Rudali. So बहुत साल पहले एक मूवी आई थी रुदाली करके. Now for some of our viewers who are new and you probably don't know about it, so Rudali was based on a concept in the villages, especially in Rajasthan, that if there's a family and somebody dies in the family, then there are a set of women who are paid money so that they can go and they can cry there. And that was a concept of Rudali. And the movie in itself is good, it's a different topic, but they won national award for the film which was all about crying. I want you to realize some people are like that. They always cry at every opportunity that they get. And they feel good out of it. Because it's like a victim mindset. When you share your story from a victim point of view, everybody gives you sympathy, right? And we love that because you're getting attention, you're getting love. फिर ऐसे हुआ मेरे साथ, फिर वैसे हुआ. And 10 people come and say, अच्छा यार ये वो. and you start feeling good. But that's a mindset again of a fixed person. There are so many people around here who have experienced so many things, but we don't cry about them. We rather put it as a strong point rather than playing the victim card. And that's exactly what they do, that always like, why me, why me, why me. Now this is what some people do. Here's a classic example. Once there was a zoo, and in that zoo there was a monkey. And the monkey was in a cage and usually moving from one place to another here and there. But for the last 1 week, the monkey was constantly sitting at one spot only. And we could see a little blood which was oozing around and going towards the end. So all the visitors and the gatekeeper were asking that what's the problem? If the monkey is getting hurt, why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you giving treatment? So the gatekeeper used to say, whenever we offer treatment, he is refusing it. He is not ready to move, he is getting aggressive. I'm like, what's the problem? And then they realized after a point that to move the particular monkey, they need to do some strategy, something or the other. So they put a lot of honeybees into the cage. Now the moment honeybees came into the cage, the monkey had to get up and go to another spot. And later they were observing, why did the monkey do this? The monkey had hurt on the backside, there was blood which was dripping around, but it only got up when there were bees around. Why? What was the whole thing about? Later it was found in a case study that some of us, like that monkey, behave in a problem situation like this. That even in a problem situation, the point it gets extremely unbearable, तो ही हम काम करेंगे. तब तक के लिए दर्द में भी मजा है. तब तक के लिए the pain also gives you a lot of pleasure. This is what some of us do. कि I am getting uncomfortable, दर्द हो रहा है, पर इतना नहीं हो रहा कि अब मैं कुछ करूं उसके लिए. And that's how we lead our life. So for some of us, we are living our life in this way that we are having a problematic life, but then we are not ready to take action because it isn't the worst for us. एकदम worst नहीं है, अभी भी survive कर सकते हैं. And that's why if you see most of the stories that we give as examples are always from rags to riches. Very hardly have we heard middle class to riches. Very hardly. Because the problem with middle class is कि दर्द होता है, पर इतना नहीं होता है कि कुछ ऐसा करे कि top class में चले जाएं. But the people who are there from rags, they have nothing to lose. And that's why they take a catapult and directly jump to the last one. It is very, very important to change this mindset. And that's where the growth mindset comes up. So this is what happens. Whenever a problem comes, हिंदी में कहते हैं आपके पास दो ऑप्शन है. एक, भाग लो is to run away. And second, भाग लो, which means to participate. And that's what's the difference between a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. Fixed mindset will find a way out because of the excuse. The growth mindset will stand, participate and face it, because fixed mindset looks for the problems, whereas the growth mindset treats it as an opportunity. There is a difference. The people who have been able to do great in life, every problem they have converted into an opportunity. Here was a classic example. So once a survey was done by a company, and the company used to manufacture shoes. So they sent 2 of their representatives to a place in a village where there were no shoes at all. So both these managers, the marketing managers, go to the village and they say, boss, this village has a good, nice population of around 1 lakh, 2 lakh people around. But the problem is that, sir, one manager says, sir, here the market is 0, यहाँ पे कोई shoes पहनता ही नहीं है. 100% The second guy comes up and says, sir, here the market is 100%, क्योंकि यहाँ पे कोई shoes पहनता ही नहीं है, जो हम देंगे वही number 1 बन जाएगा. So if you see, it's a difference again of the thought process. The people were the same, the village was the same, the only difference was the mindset. How do you look at it, in what ways? And that is why the fixed mindset is very important. It looks like an opportunity. The same goes the case within there was a case study and a joke that comes up, wherein once an army of people, around 5 of them, were surrounded by an army of 30 people in a complete circle. So here they are, 5 of them with their backs to each other and 30 people surrounding them. And these 5, the soldiers are talking to the general who's standing there, saying, General, what do? We are surrounded by men on all sides. The general says, that's great, just shoot anywhere. That's exactly what it is that we need to understand. Because if there are people only in one direction, you need to take aim and shoot. Here you just randomly shoot everywhere. And 5 of us can defeat the 30 of them. Depends again on the mindset. How are we looking around at things? And the ones who are able to come up with creative solutions come with a growth mindset. They don't follow a fixed mindset. That's why it is very, very important to do that. The next word is perseverance. This was Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam's favorite word, perseverance. This is what it is. Some people open the first door and they expect gold. Some people go to the second door, third door, and they come back. But the point being, you don't have to count the number of doors. You need to keep opening it till you get the gold, and that's the difference. And the day you eventually get it is the day that you have got and reached what you wanted. Because now you're not doing it for someone else, you're doing it for your own self till you reach it. So there's a difference. Winners usually don't go to the finish line. Winners go through the finish line. There is a difference. The ones who always think about going to the finish line end up somewhere being second or third. The ones who still continue through are the ones who usually become first. So it's very, very important to develop that right at the start. So here is a classic example. How many of you have heard about Sachin Tendulkar? If you have heard, raise your hand. Okay, good, superb, everybody, thank you. Now here's a simple point. In the year 2004, Sachin Tendulkar and the Indian team went on a tour to Australia. And they were playing India versus Australia test match cricket. Now, for the first 3 test matches, Sachin Tendulkar's score were 7, 9, 0 and 21. So aggregated together, he did not score more than 40 runs in the first 3 matches, 6 innings. And each and every time he got out when he was trying to drive the cricket ball. So drive is a shot in cricket when you play it on the offside, which is towards the right side. And every time he used to play that, there used to be an edge of the bat and catch taken by the wicket keeper or the first slip. So it was a challenge for Sachin that how do I face the last match, the 4th test match, how do I do it, how do I play well? So he did a very simple calculation. He got a challenge, he decided how do I face it, and he said to himself that in this entire match, I won't play a single cover drive. मैं offside पे खेलेगा ही नहीं. And offside is usually your 50% of the ground. And he says, I won't drive at all because that is the challenge for me right now. I won't ever do it again in this match. And he went on in that match to score his career best 241 runs not out. And he was not out till the end. And he did not score a single boundary of a cover drive. He says, each time the ball was here outside the off stump, I used to leave it. If it was on the leg side, I used to hit it for a 4. And that shows that your ability is much more than your mindset. Remember that. Because sometimes you believe that we'll not be able to do it. But if being strong is the only option that you have, only then can you realize how strong you are. Because of option hai nahi weak rehne ka. And this was the wagon wheel. This is called as the spider. If you see on the offside, this was a square cut. This isn't even a drive. And again, this was a square drive. It was not a cover drive. This entire area, he has not even scored a single boundary, not even a single. And if you take any other innings, that's his favorite area. He loves to drive. And this is the difference of that man. He goes on to score 241 not out. So when challenges come up, it's usually for you to become one version better of yourself. And that is why you have a challenge coming up. So this is a difference. Normal people with a fixed mindset avoid challenges. They are like, nahi chahiye, challenge hai, bhagte hai. The people with a growth mindset wait for challenges. Aur kya challenge hai bata? I will try to solve. That's the difference, very, very crucial. The third part is effort. The fixed mindset and when you talk about the growth mindset, how is that and what's the difference in their efforts? कैसे efforts में दोनों के फर्क है? Fixed mindset सबसे पहला ये बोलता है कि boss efforts का क्यों जरूरत है यार, छोड़ना, क्यों करने का? So the fixed mindset says why, क्यों करने का है, छोड़ना. The growth mindset says why not, क्यों नहीं करने का है, चल करते हैं. That's the difference. So next time if you find yourself say क्यों करने का है यार, you are in the fixed mindset. If you find yourself say क्यों नहीं करते यार, चल let's do it, let's try, then you automatically go towards the growth, which is very, very important. The second aspect is the fixed mindset. It helps people in a way because then they are okay not being okay. There are some people who are one of us, वो ऐसे होते हैं कि हम अरे मैं बीमार हूँ, हाँ मैं ठीक हूँ, मैं बीमार हूँ, उसमें भी मैं ठीक हूँ, खुश हूँ, मेरे को प्रॉब्लम नहीं है. So it's like they are not ready to accept and change. They are rather happy with the way that they are. And that is a very big problem when it comes to your fixed mindset. So when it comes to a growth mindset, they are the always who always believe that efforts are essential. You need to put in the efforts no matter what. We gave an example about Sachin Tendulkar earlier. As a 10 and a 12-year-old kid, he used to always go to play cricket, have 2 hours of practice in the morning, play a match for 6 hours, have 2 hours of practice in the evening, and fall asleep on the dining table. And he did that for 55 days in a row. Then he got his first selection. That is how he played cricket. So I want you to realize it's the efforts constantly. most of us have been trained by our conditioning, by our parents, by our grandparents and the society in a way that we always appreciate the results. 99% to ghadi, varna chadi. This is a result based outcome. But there's a problem in this. If the child doesn't get 95 or 99, then you give them a watch, neither is the child happy nor are the parents happy. Because result to aaya nahi. So we need to change that to a growth mindset and start appreciating your efforts. So what do I mean if I say efforts? I simply mean this, that irrespective of the result, अगर child दिन में 3 घंटा पढ़ाई किया है, तो until the exam, every single day 3 hours has the child studied? If yes, give the child the watch he wants. That's it, simple. Now what you're doing is you're reconditioning his mind for efforts, wherein result के पीछे नहीं भाग रहे हो, efforts के पीछे भाग रहे हो. Now when you start appreciating the efforts, the results are automatically going to change. Because the results are nothing but your X-ray of your efforts. Efforts डालोगे तो results आएगा. That's exactly what we need to do. So they always think it is essential, and that is what leads to mastery. The more efforts that you put in, the better and more master you become. And that's why I've seen so many people, especially trained musicians, they practice every single day, even after becoming the musicians. I've been to many concerts, including Shankar Mahadevan. I see backstage they are practicing. And here if we have a competition, we are like, sab aata hai, apne ko kuch tension nahi. These are legends of their game, and they still practice every single day. And that's why they say there's no replacement to that. So how cliched it may sound, but that's the truth. You need to constantly do it. That's the only way you can jump towards your growth mindset. So here's a classic example. How many of you have seen the movie Dangal here? Raise your hand if you have seen Dangal. Okay, good, superb, no problem. So in this movie, it's a journey of a lady from India who went on to win the gold medal in the Commonwealth Games. And this has been showed, Amir Khan is her father, and this is the body transformation that he went through, the kind of efforts that he put in. So Nitesh Tiwari, who's the director of the film, went to Amir and said, Amir, you will have 2 distinct category of roles in this movie. First, you have to play a role of a father, wherein your child then goes on to win a medal. And second, in your earlier days as a flashback, we will show you as a wrestler. So you need to have the wrestler's body. So let's first shoot the wrestler's body, because you're fit. First let's shoot that, and then towards the end of the movie, let us shoot your with a heavy belly and a father figure at the end. So this is what Amir Khan said to him right at the start. Let's keep the script in the same way. Let us shoot it in the opposite way. So let us shoot me being fat old guy as a father figure before, and then being a fit guy towards the end. So Nitesh Tiwari, the director, was like, why do you want to do that? It's a complicated process. He says, why? Because after the shooting is done for Dangal, I will have a fit body to fit into any other role. But if I have a body of a father figure with a tummy, I would not get any other role. So he was already putting in efforts, not just for this film, but he was already working on the next ones which are going to come up. And this is what he was, and this is how he went into. And his entire transformation, he has put it, it's there on YouTube, we all can see it. He says putting on weight was easy. Every day 3-4 vada pavs, dal makhni, this, that, hog and hog. But the workout was very, very difficult. This is what it is. Easy things if you do, easy results you get. Difficult things if you do, much bigger results is what we get. And it's all on the mindset. Whether you are ready to accept the challenge, that is what is required. The next one is the feedback. Now most of us sitting here are unhappy when somebody gives us a feedback. Unless it's a compliment. So if it's a compliment, we are always welcome. Arey, tu to star hai. Arey, wow, thank you so much. But the moment someone says, tere mein na ye ek cheez galat hai, we start defending ourselves. We put a wall in front of us, saying, nahi, tere ko nahi pata, ye aise tha, iske liye hua, waise tha, uske liye hua. The moment you start doing that, you have a mindset which is a fixed mindset. This is what it is. Fixed mindset people are extremely defensive. The moment you try to give them a feedback, they go into a defensive mode. So as I said, if you go and ask them that, you know what, why are you wearing this shirt? Why is it tucked in? Arey no, because of this, yaar, fir mera belt ye hai, fir mera ye hai, fir mera wo hai, ye wo. Tere ko nahi pata, aise, waise. They try to defend, they create a wall in front of you because they don't want you to enter and catch them where you already have caught. That's why they are always defensive, trying to avoid and build a wall in between. The next is justification. Fixed mindset people, when a feedback is given, they always justify. So even when I get a feedback, कि Abhay, you're speaking, कभी-कभी आप बहुत fast बोलते हो. So there's one part of me which is the growth mindset, which accepts But then there's one part of me which is the fixed mindset which says, नहीं नहीं ये तो normal speed है मेरा, मैं थोड़ी fast बोलता हूँ. So that is that part of me who's trying to justify, who's trying to defend. But it doesn't realize that why is somebody giving a feedback, it's for your benefit. It's not out of spite. ऐसा नहीं है कि किसी को चुगली करने में बहुत मजा आता है. आता होगा, but if you are getting value out of it, then why not? Accept it. So this is the thing about feedback. Whether or not you agree is secondary, but accepting feedback is mandatory, very very important. तो कोई अगर मुझे feedback देता है, तो मुझे accept करना जरूरी है. मैं agree करूँ या ना करूँ वो मेरे ऊपर है. But at least accept तो करना है. Do not discourage, do not say no, do not cut off immediately. And the third, fixed mindset people think feedback is useless. बोलते हैं इससे feedback लेके मेरे को क्या होगा? ये कौन है? छोड़ना, useless है. Again, whereas the people who have a growth mindset, they take a 360-degree feedback. They take a feedback from everyone. Their team members, their seniors, their juniors, their friends, their spouse, each and everyone. Because they want to grow in that space. They are ready to be vulnerable, ready to show where they are wrong, and ready to take efforts to do good. That's the biggest difference when it comes to your feedback. For fixed mindset, feedback is always going to be defensive. For the growth mindset, it is very, very useful. They love it. So when now people give me a feedback, I make a note of it instantly because I know that will help me to get one version better of myself. Extremely, extremely important to accept feedback. The next, they welcome. Growth mindset people always welcome feedback. They're like, तू भी बोल, सब बोलो, ताकि मैं सब areas में improve हो सकूं. They're willing and ready to improve in all areas of their life. And the last one, when you talk about area of improvement, for the people who are there with a growth mindset, even while giving feedback, they are very careful. They always give a constructive feedback. They don't give a feedback which is negative, but a constructive feedback. Now here's a simple process. For all those who are wondering how do we give a feedback to people, we follow something called as the sandwich feedback. What's the name of the feedback? Sandwich feedback. Thank you. So let me explain in a quick way that what sandwich feedback means. Typically if you see, how many layers does a sandwich have? Typically 3 layers, right? So if you see in a very simple way, the 3 layers that the sandwich have, the first one is nothing but the bread, which is nothing but the slice of the bread. The last one is nothing but the slice of the bread. And what you get in between are the fillings, the vegetable, the patties, etc., all done. Your feedback exactly has to be like a sandwich. Now what do I mean when I say that? So if you give or take feedback from someone, and if someone comes and directly gives you the sabji in between, saying, "Hey, ye le, tu barabar nahi bola," then your mind cuts off. And your mind is like, "Hey, nahi, ye to negative hai, critical hai, I don't want it." No. You start refusing to accept. So how do we give feedback to people? Very, very important. The 3 layers signify the way we need to give a feedback. The first layer being positive, then being negative or constructive, and the third one being positive again. So what do I mean when I do that? So if I have to give a feedback to sir, I have to first start with the positive layer. Yes, sir, I love the fact that every single time you are there for the talk and is absolutely inspiring, and that's why it makes me come back here. So that's a positive thing. Then a constructive feedback. Sir, in between you need to be more energetic. And then at the end, but again hats off, throughout the day you're sitting there and doing great. Now sir is willing to take that feedback because plus minus plus. But if I directly say, sir, energy na aapka sir pura hi down hai, then he's again into the defensive mode. Ki who are you to tell me that my energy is not good? So whenever we give feedback, the growth mindset people always know how to use the words and give a feedback. Very, very important. So next time try this, because this is how human mind operates. If somebody gives a negative feedback, then I shut the doors of my mind. But the moment somebody gives a positive feedback, the first layer, I open my mind. अरे अच्छा मेरे बारे में तारीफ हो रही है, क्या बात है, happy. Slowly the doors are open because positive feedback है. Now comes your constructive feedback. अच्छा मेरे में ये हुआ. Slowly the doors start to close. Until the point it starts to close, give a positive at the end again so that they remain open to feedback. And that's how plus minus plus helps us to connect with people and give a feedback. And that's exactly what a growth mindset person does and knows how to give a feedback. So let us understand a simple concept. Now in the picture, you might recognize him as Sachin Tendulkar. Now, we might not know who's the other person around there. And how many of you here agree that Sachin Tendulkar is or was India's best batsman? If you agree, raise your hand if you agree to that. Good, superb. Thank you. Some of us may believe maybe Sunil Gavaskar was. Some of us may believe Kapil Dev. We all might have different variations. But a nation who thinks cricket as a religion considers Sachin as a God. And there are no two ways about that concept. So here's a very simple example from cricket, from Sachin, that helps us to understand how do we take a feedback very seriously. Now, when Sachin Tendulkar started playing cricket, not many people know he started his career as a fast bowler. Now we all know Sachin as probably the best batsman of all time. He started his career as a fast bowler and he went to an MRF. MRF is a brand, a cricket bat sponsorer that he had throughout his life. So MRF conducted something called as a MRF Pace Academy, which was in Chennai, wherein fast bowlers were brought in and they were to check who's the fastest bowler so that they can be trained for the upcoming tours. So Sachin Tendulkar with his brother Ajit Tendulkar, way back, this was in 1980s, went there for the Pace Academy and then he was bowling and he thought, why should I carry my cricket kit? Sirf bowling hi to karna hai, to shoes hi kafi hai. So Sachin refused to carry the cricket kit. But his brother Ajit Tendulkar said that, you know what, you're going there, might as well carry your kit, thoda pads pehen ke net mein thoda practice kar le, net practice, itna ja raha hai to leke ja. So in that case, forcefully he took that heavy bag, went to Chennai, did his bowling, he was rejected. Because they thought his pace was not good enough. Kyun? At that age, he was this much in height. Even today, he's what, 5'6", 5'7". So at that time, he was less than that. So body bhi aise nahi tha ki fast bowler jaisa dangerous. So he was rejected in that academy. And that was a time when this guy in the picture, his name is Dennis Lillee. Dennis Lillee at that time was a fast bowler and very well reputed Australian. So he had come to India for that tour, for that trial. And he spotted Sachin because later he was practicing in the nets as a batsman. He went to Sachin and said, you know what, your bowling is not that great, but the way you're knocking the ball, the way you're batting is great. So from today, leave the bowling and only focus on the batting and trust me, you will do good. Now Sachin had two options there. First, to negate the feedback, saying, "Abhe tu kaun hai be, Dennis Lillee, hट, मेरे को क्या बता रहा है, मैं नहीं सुनेगा." Or second, to accept it and then work on it. And he did the second thing. So he did not refuse. He accepted and started focusing on only the batting, and now the rest is history. We know who the guy is now. That's exactly why it is very, very important. Same was the story with Anil Kumble. He started as a batsman, but was given a feedback that with the leg spin that you have, you will be more dangerous. So sometimes we can't see things which other people see in us. It's like this. If I'm standing here and if one of my buttons is open, I will never be able to see it because I'm living my life in this way. Unless some of you spot that, you know what, ये open है, बंद कर ले, change कर, तो ही मेरा consciously effort जाएगा ये बदलने के लिए. And that's why feedback is very, very important. So if you want to shift from a fixed mindset to a growth mindset, taking feedback is very, very important. But some of us who believe in the traditional ways, we don't ask for feedback because हमें डर लगता है. कहीं लोगों ने हमें disapprove किया तो, what if they don't like me? What if they hate me? What if there's only negative around? So we try to avoid, and that's why we remain in the fixed mindset. So if we need to grow to a growth mindset, always and always ask for a feedback. Very, very important. The next is something called the setback. How many of you in your life had a trouble or a setback? Raise your hand if you had a trouble or a setback. Good, superb, thank you. Everybody's against hand is up. It's very, very natural. You cannot live a life without problems or without setbacks. Now, the problem is never the problem. The way we react to the problem is the actual problem. Because जो एक के लिए problem है वो दूसरे के लिए opportunity है. And that's exactly what we need to realize. So let us understand how the fixed mindset reacts when there is a setback. First things first, fixed mindset starts with the blame game. Fixed mindset says, मेरी गलती नहीं है, इसने ऐसे किया, उसने ऐसे किया, इसने ऐसे किया, उसने ऐसे किया. It's very easy to put the blame on someone else, and that's your fixed mindset. The first thing that they do, they never take charge of the situation. This is what we always say as a leader. The first sign of a good leader is that if your team doesn't do well, take the blame on yourself as a leader. And if the team does well, give the credit to the team. So in accounting terms, हम credit debit बोलते हैं, वैसे ही इसमें भी है. Anything that is to be credited, give to the team. Anything that has to be debited, goes to the leader. Simple. That's exactly how we need to follow. Blame game रोकना है. Never ever go for blame gaming. इसके ऊपर ये वो. Never ever. The next, because of the fixed mindset, whenever there is a setback, the fixed mindset people are discouraged very easily. You'll always find them, यार मेरी तो लाइफ बर्बाद हो गई यार, ये हो गया यार. They overreact. They are like the drama queens and kings of the world. Problem इतना सा होगा तो इतना overreact करेंगे वो चीज में. क्यों? क्योंकि mindset ही वो कहता है कि we need to behave in that way. That's why they are very easily discouraged and they give up right at the first instant. They are like नहीं होगा मुझसे छोड़ जाने दे. Again, since we use Tendulkar as an example, we all know that Tendulkar and Vinod Kambli started playing cricket together, right? And Vinod Kambli was considered to be a better talent than Sachin Tendulkar. So when Vinod Kambli started playing test cricket, in his debut match he scored a century. And in the first series itself he had scored 2 double centuries too. Now you might wonder, पहली मैच में century क्या बात है यार, बढ़िया. When Sachin Tendulkar started playing his one-day international cricket, his first century, now listen to this, his first century came in his 79th match. Not his first match, not his second match, not his third match. Imagining getting up every day playing a match and not scoring a century for 78 matches. After that you finally score your first century. And that's what it is. So they are not discouraged easily. So even if they don't have a century after 78 matches, they don't give up. You might understand 78 matches usually means 3.5 years of your life. Not scoring a century for the first 3.5 years of your life. And then went on to scoring the highest number of centuries ever, 100 in total, 49 in one day. So from none to 49, that is what the man did. How? Because of the mindset, which was all and all about growth. Now when you look at the growth mindset, the very first is nothing but a learning opportunity. Always and always ready to learn. If they're asked to do this, they will do it. If no, they will do that. This, that. Always willing to learn. Never ever in a point wherein they think I have learned everything. Sab aata hai. Bilkul bhi nahi. So the problem in this world is not that people say I don't know it. The problem is they say I know it. That's the bigger problem. So जब बोलते हो ना मुझे आता है, I know it, that becomes a big issue. And that's exactly why learning is very, very important. And they believe that every problem से आप सीख के एक level ऊपर जाते हो. That is why they are very happy with the problems. Now when you see the last one, they focus on making changes. छोटे छोटे चीजों के बाद वो change करने में ready रहते हैं. They do not sit at one place and believe ठीक है ना यार जिंदगी भर ऐसे ही चलेगा, अपने लिए ये काम किया है आगे भी करेगा. बिल्कुल भी नहीं. Constantly upgrading, constantly changing themselves, and that's what sets them apart from everybody else. And that's the difference between ordinary and extraordinary people. It's not that extraordinary are born extraordinary. Extraordinary people are just people who have put in extra efforts. That's it. So extra efforts from ordinary people are extraordinary people. That's it. There's no difference. They are not born with a silver spoon as such, which what we believe commonly. Now we know this guy on screen. Can someone guess his name by any chance? So for the viewers, the person on screen is Steve Jobs. And he runs a company called as Apple. And Apple produces electronics which includes your mobile phones, your iPhones, etc. And it was the first company to enter into the $1 trillion era. So it was the first company to reach that kind of revenues. So here's what was a setback for Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs started a company, Apple Computers, and as it was growing, after about 8 years of operation, his own board of directors kicked him out of his own company. Now understand what happened here. मैंने कंपनी शुरू की और मैंने ही टीम ने मुझे मेरे ही कंपनी से बाहर निकाल दिया, and that was the situation which happened with Steve Jobs. Now if he wanted, he could have given up at that very moment, saying अपने ही लोगों ने दगा दिया तो क्या करेंगे. He did not do it. He started one more company called as Next Computers. He started working on that again and again and again. It took to a different level altogether. Apple was going down. Apple wanted him back. Went up. Apple में वापस काम किया. Apple को ऊपर लेके आ गया. And that is what is the man. And that is why setbacks are never a problem for them. We have all heard about Donald Trump, right? We know he's the president of US. A lot of people make fun of him. But we don't realize he's a much greater businessman than any one of us could ever think. In his life, 3 बार वो बंदा बिलियनर से जीरो पे आ चुका है एंड वापस बिलियनर बन चुका है. It takes 5 lifetimes for people like us to become a millionaire. This guy becomes a billionaire zero, billionaire zero, billionaire zero. कैसे कर सकता है? Because mindset ही वो लेवल का है. Mindset छोटे चीजों में नहीं अटका हुआ है. Insecurities नहीं है. First insecurity we have as humans कि if I show the skill, कोई और चोरी करके कर लेगा तो मेरा value ही नहीं रहेगा. We have the fear of missing out. It's called as FOMO, F-O-M-O, fear of missing out. These people don't have that. these people have ये ले, सब ले, मेरी किस्मत कैसे ले पाएगा? Not be able to do it. And that's the difference. So we fixed mindset believes in insecurity. Growth mindset is much more secure. They are like, तू क्या लेके जाएगा यार? What would you take from me? You can't take what I have here in my mind. And that's exactly why they are able to achieve things which are extraordinary. Now this is one of the last slides for the day. It comes from Charles Darwin. Now we all know the evolution, theory of evolution. He has a lot of part to play into it. So he says this, that it is not the strongest species that survives, nor the most intelligent. तो ऐसा नहीं कि आपको सबसे ज्यादा ताकतवर होना है या सबसे ज्यादा बुद्धिमान होना है. The ones who are most responsive to change are the ones who survive. तो ऐसे नहीं है कि आपको बहुत ही इंटेलिजेंट होना है दुनिया में आगे बढ़ने के लिए. Not about that. It's about, are you able to adapt to changes around you? If you're able to adapt, that's the number one skill that we need to have. So to sum up the entire topic of fixed versus growth mindset, be adaptable. Today you'll find your grandchildren teaching you things. Learn from them because they are ahead. They know things what they know. Accept it. Do not have a blockage which says, I know that, because that's the three most dangerous word. So the moment we consider each and every day as a learning lesson, the shift from a fixed mindset to a growth becomes a lot easier. And in a growth mindset, learning is infinite. So that's why it is very, very important that no matter where we are at what point of life, never ever let your cup be full. Always keep it empty so that more space is in there to constantly learn, grow and learn and grow. So there'll come a point in life wherein we don't need to judge people as we saw at the start. So it won't become survival of the fittest. It would rather become the people being adaptable to each other and coexist in a happy way. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much for being a wonderful and a patient audience. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you.